If you never had ginger before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, huh?
What a shot.
Has a nice little bite to
it.
it.
Little bite. I drink ginger every morning.
Keeps
so.
it exciting. Okay. Right. So if you drink it, then you know. But having that juice straight up like that, it is a little. Exactly. Now we are ready. The party can commence. All right. So again, this is our first conscious chats, and conscious chats will happen twice a month. One is demo related, and the second one is a conversation like we are having today. The point is for us to become more aware in living healthy lifestyles that fits you. Okay, so we just want to bring awareness to conscious living. Again, 2 times a month, and you can find them live, or we will record them and have them on YouTube as well. So if you have any comments, questions, or even want to send a DM, be free to do that. We have our lovely Lene who is helping us, who will let us know any comments, or if we miss any, we'll get back to you afterwards. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Today's topic is beating diabetes. And this is quite a bold statement. However, it's also a very bold action that Micah has taken. So Micah Anderson is one of our day one clients since May of 2019. He actually has some services provided that we no longer provide, which is cooking. I used to cook Micah's meals, specifically tailored for his goals in overcoming diabetes and nourishing his body to not have to take medications and things of that nature. And he also was a CMOS client. He used to buy the large 32-ounce jars by the 5s for him, his family, friends, barber, everybody. So we have much appreciation for Micah. So glad that he's here to share his story. And a lot of this conversation is going to be about the thought process in life and motions of going through diabetes and taking it into control in your own hands, because it's very manageable. And although it may be very scary news, like, your life's not over. And that's one thing that Micah used to say, like, this is his second chance at life. So without any further ado, let's just go ahead and get into it. And Micah, if you want to tell us, let's go back to when you got that phone call. You were at brunch with your family and friends, and you got a phone call that you have diabetes. Right. What were you feeling? How were you thinking in that moment?
A lot of thoughts. Relief, scared. You know, I this little backstory, I have been feeling crazy for quite some time. And God works in mysterious ways, as they say. So after a while of me putting off saying, you know, go to the doctor, man, see what's wrong with you, it was just a fear of hearing something that I didn't want to hear, that, you know, I might not be able to control, or whatever the case. And so I went to the doctor that Saturday. And then that Sunday I went to brunch. And this place I go to for brunch, it's usually a hit and miss. Well, that day it was a hit. And man, I just went berserk in there like I normally do. And I'm eating everything under the sun. I'm drinking mimosas. I don't even drink. And I got to the dessert plate. And that's when the doctor called. And the doctor told me, you know, yeah, you definitely have diabetes. Now, mind you, I'm clueless on anything about it.
What that means.
Yeah. And I have type 2, which is manageable. Type 1, you definitely have to do insulin. Right. I don't have any kind of game for anybody with type 1. But type 2 is what I was, you know, diagnosed with. And my sister was with me. She says, I don't know what they were saying, but you pushed that dessert away like it was poison or something. Wow. Which it really is. But they diagnosed me, and they told me my blood sugar was 550. Again, I have no clue what that means. You know what I mean? But it's supposed to be between like 80 and 110 or something. Then they told me my A1C was like 12.6. Again, I don't know anything what that means. but it's supposed to be like around 5,
Right.
you know, 4, whatever. So yeah, what was going through my mind was, wow, you know what I mean? Like, okay, so it was a silent ride,
Right.
holding hands and tears.
Right.
But again, like I said, it wasn't cancer, you know what I mean? It wasn't some other stuff. And then once I started, you know, reading, I'm like, okay, cool. You just got to do what you got to do to fix it.
Right. So one of the things you said that when you found out, you felt relieved.
Relieved that I know what's going on with me now.
Okay.
And that it wasn't cancer, and that it was manageable, and it wasn't type 1.
Okay.
You know, it was a lot of things that it could have been, and I could have went left.
Right. And one of the things why I love your story so much is because, like you said, as soon as you found out, you pushed that dessert plate away.
Right.
You know, it wasn't like, okay, let me get one last hurrah, and which a lot of us do, you pushed it away.
Yeah.
So your mindset in that time of that information that you're getting, even though you kind of weren't aware of what this even means, you knew that you needed to make a change, and you did that right away.
Right. And it's funny because the whole time, or at least the last 6-7 years prior to that, I was considered a healthy eater, but that's just because I didn't eat fast food. You know what I mean? And then it was really crazy because I was in Jamaica, and I went with some Jamaicans. So I was in Jamaica. I wasn't like at a touristy spot, and I was meeting so many people. And they were over there talking about how they don't have diabetes and high blood pressure and stuff. And I remember I had my artist out there with me, and he was like, bro, why are the chickens so small? And I'm like, because that's how chickens are supposed to look. You know what I mean? And then I remember we was on a video shoot, and I stepped up to we was on the street. And the street was interesting because it was in the hood, but this street was like a safe haven. So this is where they teach the kids how to, like you were telling, everything you taught my here at this facility, that's what they were doing.
Right.
And that's where we were shooting this video. So I went up to the part that had the little restaurant. And I'm like, bro, I'm starving. You know, you get some curry goat chicken. He's like, oh. So, man, I don't eat nothing that's lived. I'm like, well, at the time, like, okay, that's cool. I'm hungry. I'm down to eat pretty much anything. I haven't eaten pork, you know, but I eat anything. So I was like, you know, cool. Fix me something. I just never been into it for the simple fact because I don't know if it would fill me, you know, my taste buds or whatever, or would just make me, you know, something different. So he fixed me this plate, and it was amazing. And then I just gave everybody, I bought food for everybody, you know what I mean, because it was so good. And then, so my point is, my mindset was on already. Hey, man, I'd like to change how I'm doing my thing. But the crazy thing was in Jamaica, I was in so much pain.
And this was before you found out you had diabetes, right?
It was like the month before I found out. That's where I was at in Jamaica, and I was in like crazy pain, man. And I just, again, God, I'm just so thankful I didn't have a coma because when you talking about somebody eating, I know I was going above and beyond. I'm in Jamaica, so I'm eating everything they put in my face. So you gotta realize, sugar comes from everything.
Right.
The carbs turning this, so what I'm eating, I'm just, you know.
Right.
Like not knowing.
You're increasing those glucose
levels.
levels.
I'm just killing myself. Yeah.
Right.
Going really big with it.
Right.
So yeah, when I get back, what made me go to the doctor was I'm right-handed, and for years, this arm kept having this tingling sensation. But at the time, I was in the gym a lot. So the gym was keeping it at bay. So I've been messed up for a long time. The 2 years that I didn't go to the gym is when it took over my body completely.
So right before you found out, you weren't going to the gym as much.
Not so much right before I found out. Just for it to make it to where I'm like, bro, there's something wrong with me.
Okay.
Is because I hadn't been going to the gym, so I'm losing all this weight. And I'm just confused, like, why am I losing so much weight? I felt great, and this pain was just getting so crazy. But what did it, I'm in the mirror, and my right arm was smaller than my left. And I'm right-handed.
Right.
I was like, okay, go to the doctor.
Something's happening,
and
right.
So that's what prompted the whole go to the doctor.
Right. Well, we surely applaud you on paying attention and knowing your body. And it's so important. Nobody knows our body like we do.
Right.
You know, so we have to pay attention to what our body is telling us, how it looks, how it feels, and then going to get blood work to see why am I feeling this way or having these changes. So that's a really great thing. One of the things I want to point out is, you know, a lot of people have this YOLO mindset when it comes to living, as if, okay, well, I only live once, something's gonna kill me, let me just eat what I want to eat and do what I want to do. You had mentioned that you made that change right away, but you also live a very still fulfilling life, right? Do you feel any restraints now that you are, or you know that you were diagnosed with diabetes? Do you feel like you have any restrictions on what you can eat or do or anything of that?
So restrictions. Okay, so for me, what I try to tell people, you gotta be conscious of just what you eat. So what I mean by that, so yes, when I got diagnosed, so the first month I did take the medicine. I took what they prescribed me, but it's also the same day I changed everything about myself. Of what to do and how to do it, or so as far as what to eat.
Right.
So I immediately changed that day, and after a month, I kind of understood myself or whatever.
Right.
But I would stay strict too, because end of the day, and I might be getting off with your original question about the YOLO part, but at the end of the day, you have to put in your mind, I want to live.
Right.
Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to live longer.
Right.
But the quality of life is going to be different.
Right.
So, but it was a no-brainer. And maybe because I was already on the idea I wanted to change, just help prompt, but I tell everybody, first of all, I own it. I caused this to myself. You know what I'm saying? I brought this on myself. And so people, you got to take accountability. But I also looked at like, dang, I've been eating crazy for 50 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So why not change?
Right.
And I feel like I have so much to live for.
Right.
So that's, it was like, people always like, oh, I'm like, bro, that don't make, like, why wouldn't you?
Sure.
But then once you get deep into it, is when you start realizing how we've been tricked from before the day we were born. Right. You've been conditioned, you know what I'm saying? So people they really don't know better.
Right.
And that's the biggest problem. If people knew better, they'd probably do better. But it's really fighting an uphill battle, man.
It is. And that's why we're here, and that's why we're having that conversation.
Right.
Because if people knew better prior to having it, or if they know somebody that has diabetes or pre-diabetic, just little things you could do now to start making that change. So this actually goes into the next topic about unlearning and relearning.
Right.
So, okay, when you're 20 years old and you want to start living healthy, it's hard to undo what you've been taught those first 20 years, particularly because most of the times they're not healthy habits. So the older you get, 30, 40, pushing 50, it's even harder.
Right.
But you, again, you had that appreciation for life and mindset and understanding the importance of, oh gosh, I have all of these health concerns that may be an issue if I continue to go down this path of eating the way I have my whole life. Right. Or I can make a mind shift change and appreciate life and that of what's in front of me if I just shift the way that I'm eating and some other habits. So with talking about that conditioning and how we grew up, like you growing up, what was your relationship with food? And what was your understanding of the role of food?
Okay, so I ate because I was hungry.
Right.
And then, man, cookies and cakes. Okay, first of all, sugar is the most addictive drug on the planet, hands down. Mm-hmm. It's nothing more addictive than that. And I was a full addict. You know what I'm saying? Right. I buy the icing for the cake and eat the whole can of icing. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And cakes and cookies and all that was just my thing. Like, from a kid. But the crazy thing also about eating is people like say that they call themselves vegetarians. That don't mean that you're healthy or eating better.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's so much. It'll scare you. That's why I say you have to be conscious, minded when you eat it. Because, yeah, okay, for the first 6 months, because now the key, and this is why I called you. I remember before I became, whenever our last conversations, I remember you speaking about alkaline and you want to change or whatever, cooking and all that. So I'm like, let me call Jessica and see what she got going on. Alkaline in your body is the key. Right. So for the first 6 months, I stayed strict on everything to undo this damage. Right. Then after that, that's why I say consciously, I can go someplace now and they have my favorite red velvet cake. I just don't have to eat the whole cake. Right. I eat a small slice. Right. Not me. I'm taking as many pieces you give me at the time back then. You know what I mean? Not knowing better. And then I tell people all the time, it saved my life. It saved being diagnosed, saved my life, saved my. I think it's helped my daughter, and I was a recently new grandfather at the time. So from the time my granddaughter was able to eat, this is what we on. Right. And my daughter is on board. Right. So that's going to make the change. Absolutely. And I'll tell anybody who listens, but you people with the YOLO, people will be on my DM all the time. Oh, can I do this? What did I do? What did I do? And as soon as I tell them, they don't do it. Right. I don't, but that's the addiction is just so, heavy. And they make it seem like when you get a certain age, you're supposed to. Right. As if it's normal to get diabetes by 50. Anything, or diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, it's not that. What it is, your body heals itself. Right. But we're beating it up so bad, we're not giving it a chance to heal itself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We're just overdoing it. So when you're thinking, I'm 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, I'm going to the gym, doing all this, okay, but you're steady eating this bad stuff and this toxic stuff, and, it's killing you slowly. So yes, by the time you're 40, 50, it comes out. Exactly. They think it's as if it's balanced. Like, okay, you can have, eat this heavy sugar processed food diet, well, as long as I work out extra, as if that's going to combat it, when in all actuality, it's not. It's not. Just because keeps it at bay. Right. Very good point. What are, so in the beginning you said, of course, for the first 6 months, you had a drastic change in your diet to give yourself some healing. And then you went back into, not of course you're eating normal prior to that, just more conscious eating, which I love to call myself a conscious eater because I'm aware of what I'm putting in my body. Right. Even if it's not the most healthy in that moment, I'm aware of that. And even with that, you don't tie yourself to some guilty feeling of like, oh my gosh, I ate this cookie, it's so bad, Well, you don't feel that way if you're aware of what you're doing and you manage it. Exactly. But what are one of the first things, so one of the first things you had to unlearn and let go of what you had been conditioned prior to that? So the biggest thing I would say is breakfast. For 15, 20 years straight. Okay. I woke up every day. If I ain't have nothing else to eat, I'm going to eat breakfast. And where in my mind this is healthy, it was so far from. But my breakfast every morning, I'd wake up, I'm having 2 or 3 eggs, I'm having cheese, I'm have maybe like oatmeal bread, thinking it's healthy. Right. I'm definitely doing 2 or 3 glasses of orange juice. I'm doing sweet yogurt, and the fruit was my healthy. Right. I'm eating either turkey bacon, beef bacon, turkey sausage, chicken, and grits or hash browns, or what have you, oatmeal, you know. This is every
day.
single, like I said, I might miss something else, but I'm not missing that.
Right.
The whole time is destroying me.
So that was one of the first things.
First thing I swapped out.
Let go. Okay.
Let it go.
Okay.
Like my breakfast now, and the thing about it, I know people get hooked on taste. I'm hooked on, is it benefiting me?
Right.
Because changing the way I eat, and I hate calling it a diet, that's just weird because it should be a live it. Diet? No. I'm trying to live it. Change your live it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but my thing now, every morning, and it's not even a morning. Like I had to really learn so much stuff, what you should really be doing, it'll make a big difference. So as far as me changing the way I eat was strictly what at first was for because I was diabetic.
Right.
The more I looked into stuff, it changed a lot of things in my life, period.
Right.
The other ailments
that
were, I was going through. So my first meal, the first thing I do, I wake up, I take a teaspoon of black seed oil. Then I probably take like a vitamin B. Then I heat up ginger and burdock. And I drink that hot. Then I eat fruits and vegetables.
Truly breaking your fast, which is what break fast is about and what we should do. You're waking up first thing in the morning, and what you used to do was you would load your digestive system, and it's like, well, I've been on a break all night, and here you come piling all this work on me first thing. Whereas now you're slowly introducing things into your system when they wake up, and there are things that are going to coat and soothe and like slowly wake up and get your system going until you then have a breakfast, which is very fruit loaded or nuts.
Fruits, nuts, vegetables are definitely, and then I'll take whatever supplements got lined up, and then I'll do sea moss. Now later on, whatever next time I eat, I still I still eat meat.
Right.
I don't eat meat by no means as much as I did, and I also strive to find the best quality of meat.
Right.
But my sides are still not what they were. Like I'm not eating mashed potatoes. I might eat cauliflower mash. I'll eat, I'm not eating rice. This is wild rice. I'm not eating, I'm eating spinach. I'm eating lots more vegetables and stuff. And it will be, I still like lamb and chicken. I don't eat steak as much.
Right.
But I still eat steak.
Right.
But again, with the conscious, like we went to Orlando. The whole family went to Orlando, and last weekend. So Saturday went to a Brazilian restaurant. And just being at the Airbnb, we're all just eating whatever. So I'm at the Brazilian restaurant. I'm eating every kind of meat you can think of. But that following week, the rest of that next week, all I ate was vegetables. And I think I ate like a couple pieces of fish for the whole week.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's a type of when you call yourself someone trying to balance things.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now people think, it's not doing any damage because they only do this once a week. You do it once a week, you're probably doing it twice. And then in a month's time, 2, 4, 6, 8.
Over the end of the year, that's over 100 times. Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's a third of the year.
Definitely, you just gotta take the time and to look into it. And I wouldn't have it any other way now.
Right.
Like when I can't. Like I have to do what I do in the morning. I crave it.
Right.
I wake up. Right. I eat avocados every single day. Somebody told me to get my granddaughter avocados because it's brain food. I swear I feel smarter because I gave it to her. I just can't be, but I have to have it every day, like every morning. That's I'm going to eat that.
Absolutely.
And you get filled up.
Right, you do, and that I think is a misconception. Sometimes people think when you're eating fruits and vegetables and nuts, you don't get full, but they are very meaty foods that come from the earth.
Then you go to searching and realize there's more fruits than you think.
Absolutely, and that's the point. Also, when you're not limited as to what you can eat. Like, eating healthy doesn't mean that it can't be enjoyable or that you are restricted. I find that when eating healthy, and it's a process, so at first it can be overwhelming, but
very overwhelming in the beginning.
It's very overwhelming. But when you make the decision to, like, okay, regardless of how scary this is or how much I don't understand it or what I'm doing, I need to take some steps. So there are little steps that you can take right away where, okay, I know I don't need this plate of desserts. That's huge. You know, okay, I know I need more fruits and vegetables. That's huge. I know I need to exercise 30 minutes a day. Those are little things that are going to massively impact that diagnosis that was just brought upon you. And the biggest thing, and why we started off with it, is like appreciation of life and appreciation of food. Like, eating on a cellular level, when you know that you're eating this avocado and it's good for your granddaughter's ovaries that are developing, or for your brain, or when you're eating certain foods and you know that it is nourishing certain parts of your body, there's so much gratitude that you have with that. So really, eating is a much more enjoyable process to eat, to sustain your organs and to have optimal function, rather than let me just satiate my palate for the moment and then afterwards I feel like a gluttoning mess, if you will. So
and the sea moss, though, is what opened my eyes. Because when they broke it down, like your body has 102 minerals. Sea moss has a 92, and then the burdock, and then the bladderwrack pulls it together. So right there, I'm hitting myself thinking, all this time I've been eating, and it ain't been helping me. Like, it hasn't done nothing for me. And the very first thing people say, it's so expensive to eat healthy. It's expensive to eat right now in this day and age, but you have to question, why is it so cheap not to? And I hate the word eating healthy. It's eating normal. The reality is eating normal, but I don't want to say it's expensive. I say that it's definitely what's the word I'm looking for? Not just time consuming.
You have to be more conscious.
Well, just not so much. That's what I'm saying. It's inconvenient.
Because
you might have to
you
go
have
different
to
places.
Yeah,
you have to go different places to get the things you want to eat. But you should be questioning, well, why would they sell me this 4 for $4? Or why would they, do this? And if you just do the research on now, it's the levels are off the charts of young folks with this disease. And others. And like I said, changing the way I ate changed so many other things in my body. It blew me away. That's where my advocate came from. Yes, it did definitely, help me with the diabetes. Because one thing I was like tripping on was the medicine. They kept trying to give me all this medicine, right? So I did, like I said, did the first month, and he was like, "Oh, your cholesterol's high. I want you to take this." And it was a medicine that I seen on TV that I used to clown the commercial. I used to clown the commercial. I'm like, whoa, I'm not taking that. So I suggest to people too, I go to Earth Origins. And if you go to those small health food places, they generally have somebody back there selling supplements that are literally geniuses. And I tell everybody, go to one of them people. I'm not against doctors, by no means. It's just like police. You do need them. But you also got to know they got an agenda of their own. So you just got to balance it in a sense. So me going back, the first time I went back to the doctor after the first 10 days, he was blown away. His expectations was, I didn't expect you to change. And it was crazy because the equipment I was buying to check myself or whatever was faulty. I got something cheap. I didn't know any better. So the medicine he was giving me was too strong because I changed. Now I'm lethargic because my blood sugar's dropping too low. And so he changed it up. I stuck to my plan. Now the crazy thing is, 2 years later, I go to a new doctor. I just basically want to get my blood work, because I never again went back to get blood work. So I go, I tell him up front, "Hey bro, I don't take medicine." He looks at me like I'm crazy. He says, "All right, do the blood work." I go back, however many days, And he's looking at me. He's got the papers. Says, Micah, I'm shocked. You're right. Your blood levels here. Your A1C went from a 12.3 to a 6.2. This is good. This is good. This is good. This is good. I'm like, all right, cool. But before I left that office, he says, you know, you're 52, 53. Your A1C is good if you were 80. That's what he's telling me. So I want to prescribe some medicine to you. What?
Right.
I just smiled.
Right.
And said, well, check this out. If I take that medicine, I get my stuff down, you know, can I stop taking it? He says, no, I'm afraid not. You'd have to continue to take it. So, again, I'm not against doctors because I think you should go, but I always tell people, go find out what's ailing you.
Right.
Then go to, I use Earth Origins because that's just the spot I go to, Nature's Passion. Because there's normally people are going to work there, people who are dedicated to knowing alternative ways, you know, holistic ways or whatever. And so they'll point out some stuff and then give it a try.
Right.
And again, like even with the change in the way you eat, like you say, you don't have to be like me and drastically do it, but if you just implement stuff each week or something, or just, you know, take baby steps to try to get to that level, I can't see it any other way.
Right.
Like for me, it just tastes better. I feel better. I posted that 10-year challenge. You know, I used to have long dreads. And somebody, a couple of people was like, bro, how can you look younger now than you did then?
Absolutely. That lifestyle, and you don't see it necessarily when you're in it.
Right.
And we always blame things happening to our bodies or functionality because of age. When really, as you said earlier, it's just an accumulation of bad habits. So of course, when you get to a certain age, of course, certain things are going to break down or not work properly, or you know, you look or feel 20 anymore, 30 anymore. Maybe just because you don't feel that young, you still can feel great and energized. And I just want to reiterate a couple things that you said, I think that are really important. So we here at Replenish Thyself have a lot of customers that come to us that are on medication and they don't want to be anymore. Like our client base are not necessarily healthy people. They are people that are transitioning into living a more healthy lifestyle because they don't agree with what the doctors are telling them when they go, or they don't like how these medications feel. Or they saw a commercial years ago that said, take this medication for diabetes, but wait a minute, there are all of these different lists of symptoms that you're going to have and because of that. So with what you did with, finding out what your ailment was, making the choice to say, okay, I need to change, meaning I need to make some, let go of some myths, if you will, on how to live, and also you take the action to learning, whether it be following people on social media, reaching out to a health coach to guide you through those things, coaching, and then also at that time with the meal planning, which I know was a big help. Although you cook and whatnot, there was a lot of learning that was going on through those meals and through the conversations that we would have. And then, like you said, using doctors for the tools that they have that we may not have access to, because I'm the same way. I'm not a fan of doctors. I'm not going to down them. I know that they have an agenda, and they'll tell you they didn't take a lot of nutrition courses when they went to school, so they are not privy to the information that we're talking about with nutrition. But making those adjustments for your own self in your own body, and then you have to communicate that with your doctor, because your doctor is not going to anticipate you to make these lifestyle changes. So like you said, those medications that you were taking, those no longer fit you because you were making the adjustments with your diet and your exercise. So you do need to communicate those things and with your doctor and take heed to them, so that if you are going to take medication, then you know you are taking the right doses.
Yeah, because like if I break my arm or get my arm cut off, I'm gonna need a doctor.
For sure. Absolutely.
But the thing about, just going back to how I know different things in my body changed from eating for years. I had the worst shoulders, and I literally, I go to the gym, do all that stuff, but let's just say, you gotta do some push-ups.
Right.
I do 25 push-ups, 50 push-ups, right? Say I do that Monday, say I do it again Wednesday. I can't do it again for another 2 or 3 months because the pain is excruciating in both shoulders, like terrible. I had trigger finger. One day I woke up, I could not close my hand. This is as far as it would go. And no matter what you did, and if you pushed it down, it would go down, but it'd be pain, and it would be hard as hell to get it back out.
Right.
I dealt with that for at least 2 years.
Wow.
When I started drinking Burdock and ginger,
yeah, absolutely.
I do 90 push-ups a day.
Right.
Easy.
Yeah,
no problem.
so great.
No shoulder issues.
Right.
Where did that come from?
Right.
Because I changed the way I stress to people. And it's hard. Now, mind you, it is a combination of things. You know, you got to get your routine. Like I say, I wake up, I do the black seed oil,
your vitamins,
the Burdock and
tea.
ginger. I eat. Then I do the sea moss, right? And then some form of exercise. Now, mind you, again, once you transition yourself, it's not always going to be sweet. Do I freak out when I see cakes and cookies? Yes, I still want them.
Right.
I go find places that sell low carb bread or low carb this. I discipline myself to, only take a little bit if I do partake. If my mind is distracted by stuff, I might not go to the gym for a couple of months. You know what I mean? But that first year of you changing, you need to stay 100% on it if that's what you want.
Right.
I hear people talk about what they want, but it's just, and I can't knock them because, again, that conditioning. And
it's hard.
Yeah, and you think about, we talk about this all the time. The ingredients in America,
right?
Most of them are banned in the rest of the world. And people can't get past that. They think it's cool to give kids a bag of Doritos or Sprite. I'm freaked out when I watch commercials now.
Yeah, how children eat. Yeah, and what they're putting in their faces.
Period.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's like the Matrix for real. I sit there and I look at this stuff and I'm like, and I remember falling for that. And that's it's the biggest scam ever, that these commercials of, you got to conscious decisions. I've been seeing a lot of people, it's like, I turned down this and turned down that because I don't do it. So Coca-Cola offered me, $20 million to promote their ad, but I don't drink that. Now, mind, that's not an illegal thing to do, but it's just crazy to see a 3-year-old big can of Coke.
Absolutely.
That should be illegal.
Right, for sure. And that's where, the awareness and the consciousness of knowing what kind of world we live in and what's going on the outside, and then what we have to do as an individual to support our own self and our loved ones and our families. So just the last thing I wanted to just touch on for a moment before we finish was your support system. What did that look like from whether it be yourself or whomever that is of your support system?
One thing about I was blessed. Like I say, my daughter, I have to say she was probably the biggest because she lived with me.
Right.
At the time. And she, 100% was with it. So she wasn't coming home with crazy stuff and feeling it. If y'all go in my refrigerator, it stays empty. There's stuff in it, but it's just the basics water, fruits, what I need at the time. My freezer might have a lot of stuff frozen, but it's not like before, full of snacks and stuff. Now, mind you, I was the oatmeal, cookie, cake, my fridge was full of all the different juices you could think of, all that stuff, so, and she was 100% with that. And it took her a minute to get on the CMOS. But what I do love about this new era of internet and all that stuff, you do have a lot more conscious people than you had. So she now gets it as much as I, and puts it in her smooth. She gives it to the baby. She was just 100% on board. And then you were big help. I just had somebody I could just call. Hey man, check this out. I'm going through this. Blah 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 blah. That was a big thing. My cousin Crystal, she definitely, because she's a type 1. She's the one that saved me because I was using all the crazy equipment. She put me on the right stuff and gave me a lot of insight on what's going on.
Right.
Just, in my family, Christelle, my mom's, my sister.
Absolutely.
But you will get resistance And it comes from people afraid of change, or people, you know, I'm not judgmental. People might look and think you feel like you're better than them, or people they just feel some type of way that they don't want to let go.
Sure.
So they try to climb you out of their own feeling crazy in their own self. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I got that a little bit.
Sure,
you know what I'm saying? But
you stuck with it. Your why was definitely bigger than any of that exterior. Those exterior things.
And you think about what this, you know, even what's going on with the pandemic or scamdemic or whatever you want to call it. I don't doubt it, because I have now close friends that actually died.
Mm-hmm.
Some were young and considered healthy because they worked out a lot. But we don't know what they were eating.
Absolutely.
All I know is this. Had I not got this and kept the path with my immune system the way it was,
right,
I'd have been subject to be really messed up.
Right.
But I was a year ahead of the game
of
changing myself.
Right.
And, you know, it hasn't hit me yet, you know.
Right. But you stay with that
you know
immune system boosted and eating what you need to keep your body functioning.
Right. And I would have never done that prior, you know.
If you wouldn't have been diagnosed, right. And that's why I love this space that we're in so much, because, yes, a lot of people come to us that have some type of ailment and they're not healthy, but it's like, it's not too late. Like, it is not nearly 50, diagnosed with diabetes, did not necessarily grow up with all these healthy tools and resources and information, but nearly 3 years later, you are not diabetic, you have not had COVID, you live a very full life, you're able to do things physically that you couldn't do before, and it's because you took that news, you made the decision to be like, nope, not me, what do I have to do to make it better? Who do I need to plug into to be successful? And so if you or someone you know that has diabetes or any issues or anything related to diabetes, whether you have a support system or not, we are here for you at Replenish Thyself. We offer free 15-minute consultations. Be free to give us a call. It doesn't have to be just about diabetes. It could be about anything. Again, my name is Jessica Colon, and I'm the owner and a holistic health coach here. So we have a good team here that has a lot of medical information that is able to take your situation and then come up with a plan that is specifically tailored for you. So please be free out to reach us. If you have any comments or questions, or you want something a little bit personal, send us a DM. We'll definitely get back to you. If you order any sea moss, so yeah, you've heard us talk about sea moss a couple of times. Of course, we have our own Glow with sea moss products. We get our product from St. Lucia. And if you order any sea moss products online and use coupon code SOSO, that's SOSO, that's his grandbaby's name. That is Micah's code, and you'll get 10% off, and that is valid for you to use now. And then lastly, we do have conscious chats. Our next one is March 6th. That'll be a demo in store with herbal teas. We'll do testings and learning and tasting the teas. And then on March 20th, we'll be talking about full while fasting. So talking about fasting. Appreciate you so much for coming this way and sharing your story. And everybody that was here today, in person and live, we appreciate you, and we hope that you continue to stay in tune with yourself. Be educated. Don't let this health world be overwhelming. You literally take it step by step, and that makes a bigger change than doing nothing. So stay replenished and glow in good health from the inside out. Shalom. Good chat. It's been a minute. Good chat, good chat. All right.
So we weren't supposed to ask questions? There was no Q&A going?
No one